Toyota's bZ4X electric SUV takes a novel approach, positioning it as a battery electric SUV for newcomers. It's a noble goal, and one that Toyota has mostly achieved. The bZ4X is a straightforward, approachable, and very likable EV that appears futuristic but operates with a screwdriver. First-time EV buyers will likely love it, but experienced electronauts may be disappointed by its lack of cutting-edge EV technology. Now, before we get into how it drives, which it does very well, let's take a quick look at the hardware. The bZ4X was developed in collaboration with Subaru, which sells a nearly identical and equally user-friendly version under the slightly less bizarre name of Solterra. The bZ4X is slightly longer and lower than Toyota's ubiquitous RAV4, and it comes with front or all-wheel drive, with EPA range estimates ranging from 222 to 252 miles, depending on the configuration. We were taken aback by how similar the Toyota version is to the Subaru Solterra, though perhaps we shouldn't have been considering the similarities between Subaru's BRZ and Toyota's GR86 sports cars. Toyota's EV SUV is a pleasant-looking vehicle, resembling a futuristic RAV4, though the blanked-out grille appears to be a clear nod to Tesla's Model Y. Unfortunately, there are no colors, aside from an eye-catching bright red, and the only options are black, white, and various shades of grey. We have many positive things to say about the interior, but our first impression was of the bZ4X's unusual driving layout. Instead of being framed by the steering wheel rim, the flat-screen instrument panel sits above it. We initially thought the steering wheel was in our laps, but that was an optical illusion. The driving position is actually quite conventional. When adjusted for comfort, the steering wheel rim can obscure the lower portion of the digital dash, but nothing is displayed there. We liked having the speedometer display up high, close to our line of sight as we looked down the road, once we got used to it. We took a moment to take in the details before whooshing off in silence. The bZ4X's appealing cabin includes a large infotainment screen and a plethora of large, clearly labeled buttons, basically everything you'd find in a standard gasoline-powered SUV, with the exception of the regenerative braking button. All of the controls will be familiar to EV newcomers, and this is the bZ4X's secret weapon, a low intimidation factor. We drove both the XLE and the limited versions of the bZ4X and found the material quality to be excellent in both. The patterned cloth covering on the dash, which is also used as a seat upholstery in the XLE, is both attractive and distinctive. Though we dread what sharp dog claws and a few years of Levi's will do to it. Limited edition models feature soft tex, which is fake leather, which is expected to last longer. A large, wallet-friendly storage area is located beneath the center console, and a standard but non-opening panoramic glass roof lets in plenty of light. While some EVs use fancy keys that unlock and turn on the car when you get in, the Toyota bZ4X uses a standard proximity key system. Though the Toyota app can substitute for the key, you unlock it by pulling on the door handle, turn it on by pressing a button on the dashboard, and shift into gear using a rotary shifter. It's the same as countless internal combustion engines. When you press the accelerator, you'll realize you're driving an electric vehicle. The smooth, even flow of power is unmistakable, a lovely sensation that no internal combustion engine can replicate. Front-drive bZ4Xs have a single motor that generates 201 horsepower and a 196 pound-feet of torque, while all-wheel drive models have one motor on each axle that generates 107 horsepower and 124 pound-feet of torque for a total output of 214 horsepower and 248 pound-feet of torque. Toyota claims a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of 7.1 seconds with front drive and 6.5 seconds with all-wheel drive. These are modest EV figures, but they don't tell the whole story. Both are quick off the line and extremely torquey when moving, with the bZ4X blasting through traffic like a sci-fi rocket scooter. We'd praise the bZ4X's mid-range punch if it were a gasoline-powered car, but this electric powertrain packs more of a mule kick. It's the kind of speed that make people swear off internal combustion engines. When you're on the move, the bZ4X makes a lot of road noise, especially from the back. The Limited, which came with an oddball 2-piece split spoiler as an option, produced even more wind whoosh. With no engine to muffle the noise, sound insulation in an electric vehicle is more difficult. We didn't expect Toyota to get this wrong after its experience with the hushed Mirai, an electric car powered by a hydrogen fuel cell, but it did. The latest Toyota's road manners are typical of what we've come to expect. The Limited model, which has 20-inch wheels, has a firmer ride than the XLE, which has 18-inch wheels with a taller tire sidewall that helps soften the bumps. The Limited, on the other hand, has much better steering response thanks to its lower profile tires. The XLE's steering feels squidgier off-center, especially in sharp, fast corners. Nonetheless, both cars track well on straightaways and through curves. Body roll is minimal in turns, which is no surprise given the large, heavy battery pack under the floor, and grip and cornering poise are both excellent. Front drive vehicles experience tire squealing understeer, whereas all-wheel drive vehicles allow the rear end to dig in and drive the vehicle through the corner as you press the accelerator. The bZ4X, like all electric vehicles, uses regenerative braking to generate electricity that charges the battery while slowing the vehicle. While some vehicles have multiple regen modes, the Toyota has a one-pedal driving mode that can be turned on and off. When turned off, regen is controlled by the brake pedal. When turned on, the bZ4X decelerates at a moderate rate when the accelerator is released, but the driver must use the brake pedal to bring the car to a complete stop. Toyota claims that the goal is to keep the driver engaged. It's a good system, and it's a great way for beginners to get used to the one-pedal braking system. The X-Mode all-wheel drive system on the bZ4X includes snow, dirt, snow, mud, and grip control, whatever that is. X-Mode is a Subaru trademark, and Toyota didn't even try to call its version of the car anything else. Cynics that we are, we approve. So far, we've outlined a small electric SUV that combines the convenience of a traditional gasoline vehicle with the futuristic feel and punchy power, and of course, emissions-free driving of the best electrics. So, why might EV enthusiasts not find the bZ4X as appealing as newcomers? For starters, there's the range, which we'd grade as a B+. The EPA rating for the XLE models is 252 miles for the single motor car and 242 miles for the dual motor car. The same Limited models are rated at 228 and 222 miles, most likely due to the additional equipment and larger wheels and tires. Those aren't bad figures. They're on par with the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Kia EV6, and better than the Volkswagen ID4. But Toyota doesn't have a 300-mile range option like the Tesla Model Y. It's worth noting that the bZ4X's range display shows a decrease when the climate control is active, and it's a little startling to see that the 250-mile figure suddenly drops to 200 miles. To be fair to Toyota, a range of 300 miles or more is merely a point of pride for many EV owners. Toyota understands that the vast majority of these people charge at home and rarely use their car's full range on any given day. Range is important for road trips, which brings us to the bZ4X's other major flaw: a maximum fast charge rate of 150 kilowatts for front-wheel drive models and 100 kilowatts for AWD models. That means the 0 to 80% charge can take nearly an hour. The Kia/Hyundai twins can do it in about 20 minutes, which is about right for a typical gasoline-powered roadside stop, fuel, bathroom, snacks, stretch legs. Because of this charging limitation, the bZ4X is more of a home body than a long-distance traveler. That's unfortunate because while range anxiety may be purely psychological, it's one of the barriers to entry for many would-be electric car buyers, as are charging times. Even if they don't matter when you plug in overnight at home, we might not have complained about the slow fast charging times 6 months ago, but we hadn't driven the very capable Ioniq 5 and EV6 yet. The bZ4X starts at $43,215 for the front-wheel drive XLE model and goes up to $49,995 for the all-wheel drive limited, making it competitive with other electric SUVs and a steal when compared to the Tesla Model Y. The bZ4X's roomy back seat and boxy SUV-style cargo bay are appealing, though it lacks a front trunk like the Tesla Model Y and feels less like a traditional SUV than the Volkswagen ID.4. Still, for a first-time EV buyer who does not travel frequently, the Toyota bZ4X is a very appealing proposition. Simple, practical, enjoyable to drive, and simple to live with. It's a welcome addition to the rapidly expanding EV fleet. And that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then do like it, share it, and subscribe to our channel for more such exciting content.